Okay, here we'll go ahead and dive into Chapter 1, the introduction of 800-53. And to make this a little more engaging, I just copy and paste it over here into the Google Doc. So I'll pretty much just read and summarize from here. The title of the introduction is The Need to Protect Information Systems, Organizations, and Individuals. They begin by saying modern information systems can include a wide variety of computing platforms, and then they're going to go through all those platforms. The way I summarized it over here, an information system is an industrial control system. General computers, weapon systems can be an example, or supercomputers. I think pretty much if there's ones and zeros in it, it is an information system. I sort of wish they just named this like a data system. There'd be no problem on my part saying data system all the time. So that's pretty logical that the first sentence of the introduction defines what an information system is. Now they're going to define what a security control is. I thought this is good in case somebody's reading this and they didn't know anything about SP 800-53. Maybe they know their organization needs to implement this, but they didn't really know what a security control is, or all the security controls in the catalog. And then maybe for them to be able to do this right here, connect it with the purpose of it. The purpose of a security control is to maintain confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the systems. Or they say of the system and information on the system. I think same thing. Now in revision 5, one of the special things we're going to see here is privacy controls. This is kind of, to me, like the new moon. The thing that was always there, but you couldn't really see it. Now they're going to very explicitly call it privacy controls and just make sure organizations are compliant with that. And why do they, or NIST, even care about this compliance? Well, it's for the general welfare of individuals and even the nation itself. Many times this publication is talking about federal systems. But as I'll say a little later here, the security controls they suggest you use, they're good. I even use them at my own home. And I think this next part will really drive home why I say that. Here are several key questions you should ask. The first one is, what security and privacy controls are needed to satisfy the organization's security and privacy requirements and to adequately manage risk? I should have turned that into 2 questions, but let's focus on the first part. What security controls do you need to be satisfied? I have 3 kids at home. I know they're going to go to websites that I'm not going to blacklist a bunch of them, and I don't want to restrict them so much as to just create a whitelist. So I use certain privacy controls to satisfy my desired level of security, what I feel is an adequate amount of risk. The next question is, have the security and privacy controls been implemented, or is there an implementation plan in place? And the last question is, what is the desired or required level of assurance? And I know this was written in 2017. I don't see anywhere where I can add feedback, but I would just end the question right there. So this next part says, the answer to these questions are not given in isolation, but rather in the context of an effective risk management process. In the next paragraph, they say it is of paramount importance that responsible officials understand the security and privacy risks and other factors that could adversely affect organizational operations and assets. These responsible officials, they don't know what could happen if systems are not secure. In my opinion, their approach should be secure things first, ask questions later. Then I kind of went on a rant right here about if you have some information or some data that you think doesn't matter at all, and that's why you're not going through the steps to secure it, well, I think if it doesn't matter, then why does it exist? Sometimes it exists because maybe it matters. So what I'm saying here is there's a lot of ransomware attacks that are going on with federal systems, especially this last year, and if you think about it, any data or information that exists can be taken, and whatever price you're willing to pay to get that back is the price point where these bad guys are trying to meet you at. Now we could go all into the different motivations that exist, because there's more than one out there. But I really like this sentence that they brought up in the paragraph. A responsible official will understand the security and privacy risks that exist. And even better, how that risk could lead to an adverse effect on organizational operations, assets, individuals, or even the nation itself. Now at the end of the paragraph, they are going to say the ultimate objective is to manage that risk. It's okay not to be perfect. Somebody once told me their job, in this field at least, is to not only mitigate risks, but to annoy anyone trying to take advantage of any of the vulnerabilities that exist. So anyways, the ultimate objective is to manage the risks through the selection and implementation of the security and privacy controls you're going to read here. Chapter 1.1 will talk about purpose and applicability. I can't even say that word, applicability. And as you can see here, the use of these controls is mandatory in accordance with the provisions of FISMA, which require the development and maintenance of minimum controls to protect federal information and information systems. So there's my Darth Vader. I find your lack of FISMA compliance disturbing. Your federal agency or organization, these controls are mandatory, not a suggestion. But this publication, and thus the controls, they are intended to help organizations manage risk and to satisfy the security and privacy requirements in FISMA. So people everywhere should be saying, thank you, NIST. It's very nice of NIST to give this to us. And I could access it for free. Now let's talk a little bit about those controls. They say here that while the controls established in this publication are for federal information systems and organizations, state and local and tribal governments, as well as private sector organizations, are encouraged to consider using these guidelines. That's why I put this meme right here, actually, because how many people do you think will really respond to this encouragement? I wish more did. Even at the lowest level, I'm using these controls at home. If more people did, we wouldn't have situations like Equifax. And Equifax isn't the only example. These controls are here to help you achieve adequate security for your information systems. Okay, so let's jump to the actual document. We're on page 16. So far we've read through all of that and all of this. And I'm going to skip target audience, organizational responsibilities, relationship to other publications, and even skip this revisions and extensions thing. And we'll finish right here on publication organization. They say the remainder of this publication is organized as follows. So Chapter 2 would describe fundamental concepts. Something as simple as grouping of controls into a baseline made me have an aha moment. Is that what a baseline is? A group of controls? I think you'd be amazed at how many things come out of the box just totally insecure. But if your average consumer is looking for speed and ease of use, and security is not the profitable approach for a lot of companies. So that's interesting to approach those companies with different baselines in mind. Now, Chapter 3 provides a consolidated catalog of security and privacy controls. They have a list of references to support publications, to supporting publications. So I'm joking here that the fun on this channel will not end as long as there's technical documents for me to read through. So the publication only has those 3 chapters. We're already done with Chapter 1, so the next part is Chapter 2. And it says here that there are some appendices. They put the definition of appendice right here. It's just providing additional information, but they're going to be specific. It's providing general references, definitions and terms, acronyms, exemplar control baselines. That's a good one. Summary and mapping tables, tailoring guidance for controls and baselines. They'll have keywords and control mappings to international standards. So ISO, IEC stuff. So that's Chapter 1. We'll read Chapter 2 in the next video.